Constantly slamming Secretary of State John Kerry, one Israeli newspaper columnist calling Secretary Kerry an amateur, and another saying he should be fired. So with all that backlash, can Secretary Kerry possibly get anything done in the Mideast now? Former UN Ambassador John Bolton joins us. Ambassador, nice to see you, but it's not, under ordinary circumstances, an easy job. Now Secretary Kerry goes in with Israel being furious at him.
Well, look, I'm not here to defend John Kerry's job or his record as Secretary of State, but people should not operate under the illusion that somehow he's acting independently of the president. I think he is really faithfully carrying out exactly what the president wants, and that is, despite all the rhetoric about Israel's right to self-defense, if we impose a ceasefire on Israel, if the pressure of the United States and Western Europe forces Israel to agree to a ceasefire, we will be stopping Israel from taking steps against Hamas's missile capabilities that materially aids Iran and its nuclear weapons program. This battle that Israel is engaged in now, obviously for their own self-defense, but it's also in America's interest. I
don't see Prime Minister Netanyahu in any way sort of bowing to the wishes of President Obama. I mean, he seems quite determined in all his statements. I can't imagine that he's feeling I can't imagine pressure from the United States to have an impact on him. He'll make up his own mind.
Well, I think he's very determined. He has nearly 90% of the population of Israel, according to opinion polls, supporting this operation. I don't think the Obama White House quite understands that. But I also don't think you should underestimate the ability of the President of the United States, when he's determined to do it, to make Israel bend the knee. And I think
How does he do that?
Well, I think you've got all kinds of steps he can take, cutting off intelligence access, holding up military resupply, allowing the Europeans to do their delegitimization efforts against Israel. We've seen John Kerry do it already, talking about why a third intifada is not unimaginable, why the boycott, divestiture, and sanctions movement is understandable, on and on and on. I think that pressure is real, and I think Netanyahu feels it.
So where would we go from here? I mean, it keeps getting worse. You hear humanitarian crisis, water and bread. 140 today were killed. 3,000. I don't know how many rockets in the last couple of weeks. I mean, tell me about what conversation you and I are going to be having 5 nights from now.
Well, my guess is Netanyahu will try and continue, but I think it's important to cut through the cynicism of Hamas using these civilians to shield its military capabilities, and that's what the strategy is here. Hamas cannot possibly win in a military confrontation with Israel, but they can create the impression that Israelis are systematically targeting civilians. I think the UN Relief and Works Administration, that deals with Palestinian refugees, is complicit in that. And I think we've got to expose that cynicism for people to understand these tragic civilian casualties among the Palestinians of Gaza are caused by Hamas.
Well, then that's where the public opinion is. It shifts against Israel and goes all the way over to the White House. The White House then exerts the pressure you're talking about.
Well, I think in the United States, support for Israel is growing. I think the opposite is true in Europe, and I think that's where the Obama administration can allow the Europeans to do its dirty work for them, frankly.
Ambassador, nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.